This is a brand new world, and I'm going to be trying to survive for 100 days straight without dying. And if you actually like this video, then subscribe because it'll make me happy. Okay, so to start out, I got super lucky with the starter chest that had full enchanted netherite armor and a ton of gapples. Now, since I had gotten super lucky with my chest, I used the items I had to go mining. I ended up finding diamonds, like a ton of diamonds. I'm not even joking. So for day 10, I decided to go exploring to find villagers. Well, as it turns out, my world is extremely lucky because I had a ton of villagers in a secret underground trading hall. Day 20 was a little bit different. I wanted to fight the Wither. So apparently, this fight was very hard, and it took me exactly 10 days to complete for some unknown reason. Where do I even begin with day 30? This was the most insane day ever. I went to the nether and found a chest and a bastion with full netherite blocks. Like, how is that even possible? Since I had gotten full blocks of netherite, I decided to make a full netherite beacon for day 40. Well, actually, I made like 6 of them. Everyone can agree that tridents are amazing. Well, that's what I hunted for day 50. It was kind of hard, but I got super lucky every single time because I ended up getting a full chest of tridents. Day 60, the most intense day ever. I almost died that day because I went to a woodland mansion and completely forgot that cheaters are trash at the game. But I eventually won because I burned the entire mansion down. Since I had looting on my sword, I got so many totems. Like I said, this was the most intense day ever. You obviously know what a melon farm looks like, right? Well, I kind of made a melon farm, and now the villagers love me. I could probably make a pumpkin farm and get even more money. I'm only 70 days in, and I'm already a millionaire. I decided to walk 1 million blocks on day 80, just to waste some time. And 5 minutes later, I finally reached 1 million blocks. But once I did, I got teleported back to spawn. After all that hard work I did, that might have been the weirdest thing that happened so far. I went to an ocean temple, thinking it would be an easy day 90, but I was sadly mistaken, because I couldn't stop getting mining fatigue. So since I couldn't get through, I just dried up the entire ocean. Now I have all the sponges I could possibly ask for, but don't worry, I have an infinite water source to make the ocean look like an ocean again. I've been wanting to save day 100 for the end. I don't think I even had a choice to begin with, because today, I am fighting the dragon. This might be even more intense than going to the man... Nope, it wasn't. So for day 100, I decided to get 100 shulker boxes full of netherite blocks. This was the most amount of work I have ever done to get this many netherite blocks. Day 200 was the best day ever. I decided to go to a couple of woodland mansions and burn them down. This might have been the most satisfying thing I have ever watched. Day 300 was one of the easiest days ever. I went to the nether and got a couple of wither skulls. Then, I decided to beat the wither 100 times in a row, and I still had a couple of wither skulls left over. So, I just threw them away. Since I had got 100 shulker boxes full of netherite blocks, I decided to make 100 netherite beacons for day 400. This took way longer than I expected. It took me 100 days to build, which is perfect, because day 500 is one of my favorite days. So, we're halfway to 1,000. That's pretty nice, but you know what else is really nice? Making a giant hole. That sounds like a lot of work, but it's fine, because I still have 500 days left. Actually, this may not even be that much work at all. Once I finished making the hole, I decided to decorate it. Since I did a little bit of off-camera mining, I decorated the walls of the hole with the leftover diamonds that I had. I really needed an elytra, because running is just too slow. So that's what I searched for day 600. This took forever, but after hours and hours of non-stop searching, I finally got the elytra I needed. Oh, and also a couple others too. Day 700. This day was very interesting. I decided to go to the end and kill the dragon 10 times, and then after I was finished killing the dragon, I went to an ancient city and tried killing a warden. This was almost the death of me, because this thing is one of the strongest mobs in the game. After I eventually killed the warden on half a heart, I decided to blow up the entire ancient city. Well, that was interesting, but you want to know what's more interesting? Day 800. I decided to go all the way up to build limit and then fall to my death. But since there's these things called totems, that was kind of impossible for me to do. Instead of dying, I just explored. I actually did so much exploring that I ended up walking 10 million blocks. The problem I was facing now was, how do I get back to spawn? Oh, well, would you look at that? I magically teleported back to spawn. Day 1000 might be one of the best days, but for now, day 900 will have to do. I decided to go and do something very risky. I got a pet warden. This was the hardest thing I have ever tried to do. I ended up using 100 totems for this entire trip. And midway through the trip, I ended up killing it. Because Having a pet warden requires life insurance, and that might have been a little too much. Here we go, the moment that we have all been waiting for. Day 1000 was the most intense and most fun day that I have ever played through. Today, I decided to do a Minecraft manhunt. I told my friend that he would have full netherite armor and a ton of totems and gapples. So we went to spawn and started our manhunt. Killing my friend in this manhunt would probably waste my time. So, since I had all the time in the world, I decided to kill him until he lost all of his totems. Once I figured out that it would take forever, I decided to fly away on my elytra. I got to the nether and I immediately found a fortress and got a full shulker of blaze rods and ender pearls. Once he entered into the nether, I was already in the end. I revived the dragon and saw him out of the corner of my eye. I had to kill the dragon before he did. He went to the middle and placed TNT all around the portal, and once the dragon was perched, he lit it up. I lured him to the edge and tried knocking him off multiple times, but he just kept on coming back. He eventually knocked me off the edge, but I had a fishing rod to take him down with me. This seemed like the end, but at the last moment, I put on my elytra and rocketed out of the void and killed the dragon. I went to the deep dark and tried surviving in it for day 1000. This was the scariest experience of my life, because everywhere I looked, there would always be skulk sensors around me. Anytime I encountered a warden, I would let loose 10 iron golems and then escape. This worked really well until 2 wardens spawned. This was super scary because I only had 1 pumpkin left. I created my last iron golem and ran away. After I got out of the deep dark, I was in a mine shaft. I went to the nearest chest and found full netherite in it. After surviving in the caves for 1000 days, I decided to go back to the surface. Since I needed to get gunpowder and bones, I tried making a super mob farm for day 2000. This wasn't going to be any normal mob farm. This thing would be the biggest mob farm ever. Since this was my first time making a mob farm, this took forever to finish. Once I finished making it, I went down to the chest and found out that they were already full with bones and gunpowder. I almost died several times on day 3000 because I went to the end and raided 100 end cities. The shulkers were super annoying because they wouldn't stop shooting at me. After I was done looting, I flew over to the ender dragon and pretty much one-shot killed it. Day 4000 was the chillest day ever. I decided to make a house for the first time ever, and once I got done making my house, I made a giant pumpkin farm. And instead of trading the pumpkins for emeralds, I got traded full diamond blocks. Day 5000. I can't believe I was about to risk my entire game for this. I decided to let loose 100 wardens. This might have been the stupidest idea ever, but I had backup. I spawned 100 iron golems to help me kill them, and once I realized the wardens were too much for the iron golems to handle, I did the unthinkable. Well, at least now I know never to do that again. I made an infinite sand machine for day 6000. This was actually kind of hard to do, because I had no idea how to do it. So since I didn't know how to make one, I just let my friend do it for me. I made 10,000 blocks of TNT and went to a village and traded them some TNT. I decided to make a giant emerald road. This wouldn't be just a normal road. This would be an emerald road with netherite beacons and wither guards. So what I'm saying is, I wanted to flex on day 7000. It was kind of tricky getting the withers in position, but once I did, it looked pretty cool. Oh, and I also had a giant mountain of diamonds with a tiny little house inside it. I decided to start a raid, unleash the wither, and spawn in the ender dragon for day 8000. While they were fighting, I decided to make a giant bridge that would lead to the end island. Once I came back to see how the fight was going, it was already over. The ender dragon had won. Since I really didn't want that to happen, I released 5 more withers, and instead of a raid, I released 10 ravagers and hoped that the withers wouldn't fight them. While they were fighting, I finished up my bridge and wasted some time by looting some cities. This time, when I got back, the ender dragon was finally dead. I made a giant train track. This sounds cool, right? But wait until you see what it looks like. Day 9000 might have been the coolest day ever because of this. Since trains are like roller coasters on steroids, I decided to make these tracks go all the way to build limit. Then, once I got to the top, I made it go all the way down to bedrock. Going down to the bedrock wasn't enough, so I made a tunnel that led into the ocean. It was really fun until I saw guardians everywhere. But after I escaped the guardians, I realized this was too dangerous and destroyed everything. I lost everything on day 10,000. Let me explain. I was wandering around until I came across my friend. He had end crystals in his hands. And since I didn't want to die, I just gave him everything I had and ran away. I was at my lowest point, and I couldn't even find food. When I was about to die, I stumbled upon a village, and I immediately opened a chest and found all my stuff. Since my friend didn't think to blow up everything I had, I took my stuff and searched for him. When I eventually found him, he was up on a sky platform. I flew up there, and he turned to face me. This was probably going to be the hardest fight. Oh. I guess he didn't think about that. So on day 1, I started out trying to survive, but as soon as I went for a tree, my friend came out of nowhere with a netherite sword trying to kill me. I ran out of there as fast as I could and climbed up a mountain. Once I had a good angle, I knocked him off the mountain. I also forgot to mention, in Manhunt, they have compasses that point towards your location. Well, in this video, we completely ditched the compasses and he had to try and find me on his own. This would have been a little unfair if he actually had a compass, because he literally had creative mode. I was running around in some caves until I saw a faint glow. I thought it was a skeleton or a zombie until it started running after me. I realized at that moment that my friend had done some off-camera mining, and once he got closer, I noticed that his armor was netherite. I managed to run into an ancient city and lost him. Secret bases are the best, so I decided to make one for day 20. I looked everywhere to make sure that my friend wasn't anywhere near me. What I forgot to do was look up because my friend was spying on me from the sky. I dug down and made my tiny secret base. I went to go get some materials, but then my friend jumped down and raided my base. After he got done raiding it, he burned everything. I came back to find out that my base was in ruin. This was the worst thing to ever happen, but I wasn't going to give up that easily. I needed to get overpowered armor as soon as possible, so that's why I went mining for netherite on day 30. As I was mining, I heard my friend mining right beside me with an efficiency 5 pickaxe. I ran out of that mine as fast as I could, and once my friend mined into my strip mine, he drank a speed 2 potion and started chasing after me. I placed lava to slow him down, but he ran straight through it. I barely managed to escape, and once I did, I set off some TNT to destroy the portal. Since my friend was overpowered, I decided to take the safe route and made a sky base for day 40. I didn't see my friend for a while, probably because he was stuck in the nether, so I just chilled out until day 50 arrived. My friend had managed to not only escape the nether, but craft end crystals. I ran to the very end of my sky platform and jumped off. I thought it was fine, but once I looked up, my friend had jumped down to try and get me. Luckily for me though, I had made a secret ender pearl stasis chamber thing and teleported to my actual secret base. While my friend was looking for me, I was down in the caves mining for more diamonds on day 60, and I secretly went back to the nether to complete my netherite armor. This challenge was actually becoming easy because my friend was giving me everything I needed without even knowing it. Once I came back, I was shocked to see that my base had once again been destroyed. Thankfully, my portal was hidden, so my friend couldn't find me. I looked around to see if my friend was still here, and once the coast was clear, I gathered the remains of the base and went adventuring. You might be thinking that going on an adventure on day 70 is the dumbest idea ever, and you are completely right. It's not like my friend would show up out of nowhere and try to kill. Okay, yep, maybe I should have gone the other way. Once I lost my friend for the millionth time, I found a village and started trading with them to get the most overpowered enchanted books. I made a giant spleef platform for day 80. This was going to be the best spleef fight ever. I told my friend to bring nothing but a shovel. My friend didn't know that this would be his first time dying. So once we got there and faced each other, I got my enchanted netherite sword and killed him. I finally had some free time, and it actually felt pretty nice to not have to worry about being chased. But that feeling eventually went away once he came out of nowhere and tried using an end crystal on me. I barely escaped and went back into hiding. Since hiding for pretty much most of the video is boring, I came out of hiding for day 90. I knew my friend probably saw me, so as I was running, I made a lava trap. Once I saw that he had pearls to jump over it, I had to think of something else. I was getting very close to the portal, but my friend was catching up. I had the best idea to kill off my friend once and for all. I made a nether portal and created a spawn anchor. I placed it down and hoped that my friend would use it. And once he eventually did, I went back to the overworld and ran thousands of blocks to a different stronghold. What my friend didn't know was that I had multiple rocket charged crossbows. Once I found the portal, I jumped in and waited for my friend. As soon as I saw him, I shot the crossbows and killed him. And after that, I killed the dragon exactly on day 100. But this probably wouldn't be the end, because as I was running towards the portal, my friend teleported to me and continued chasing me. So for day 101, I went through the end portal and tried finding a place to hide, because my friend was literally right behind me. Since I already had everything I needed from surviving 100 days, I stopped running and stood there to see how much damage he actually did. Once I saw how much damage he dealt, it actually wasn't that bad. I could finally explore without having to worry about dying in 2 hits. My main goal was to make a raid farm. This would basically make me unkillable. So I searched for an outpost, and once I found one, I immediately started building the farm. Something seemed off though when I was trying to build this farm. I looked around to see if my friend was planning something, and everything seemed fine until TNT came raining down on me. Okay, this was bad. I needed to run out of there as quickly as possible. The TNT kept on raining down on me, and I actually ended up getting really low. But luckily for me, I had ender pearls. We were literally on day 101. I had no idea how I was going to manage the next 99 days. For days 102 through 110, I made a redstone door. I've never used too much redstone before, so this was actually really hard to do. Once I finally got it done, I sat there for a while, admiring what I had just accomplished. Until my friend decided to blow it all up. I mean, he could have at least told me he was going to destroy all of my hard work. I can't believe my friend was resorting to explosives. I literally had to get out of there as fast as possible. Day 120 was one of the scariest days ever. Since my friend was in creative mode, he could use commands to teleport me as high as he wanted. So, That's exactly what he did. Now, you might be thinking that I'm in danger here, and yeah, you're kind of right. I was literally thousands of blocks in the air. I really didn't have to worry though, because I had a water bucket to save myself. Once my friend knew that this would be pointless, he flew away to think of something else. Wow, this was surprising. I was actually surviving for quite a while. I was surprised by how much I survived that I actually decided to celebrate on day 130. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself here, because my friend could have came out of nowhere to try and kill me. So that's why I made a ton of fireworks. Watching those fireworks fly into the sky and pop was so satisfying. You will literally not believe me when I say this, but as soon as I was done celebrating, my friend conveniently appeared right in front of me. I had a couple of rockets left over, so I shot some at him, and yeah, okay, they did absolutely nothing. He pulled out his sword, and for the first time ever, it did some damage. It didn't take me long to realize that he enchanted his weapons with illegal enchantments. Illegal enchantments could probably kill me, so I ran to try to lose my friend. Once I lost my friend, I saw some of the illegal items just laying around for some reason. I picked them up and noticed that there were also some command blocks. This gave me an amazing idea. I placed the block down and set my friend's spawn point. Then, I changed my friend's game mode and teleported him to me. I used my illegal weapons to basically put my friend through an endless cycle of respawn. This was all I did for day 140. Every time he respawned, he always tried running away, but it never worked because I was always there, waiting for him. After I did this for a while, he started staying still for some reason. This was kind of confusing until I saw someone else join on day 150. They immediately teleported to me and threatened to kill me if I used another command. They even surrounded me with end crystals. I dropped the command blocks I had left over and ran as far away as possible. I guess torturing someone with an annoying infinite loop really wasn't a good idea. After all of that, I decided to try to live peacefully. This worked until day 155. As I was trying to make a farm, I heard the sound of pistons getting closer and closer. I looked to see where it was, and all I saw was my friend and his partner staring me down. They wouldn't even get off their piston machine. They actually started lighting TNT, but still stayed on their machine. It seemed like they didn't really want to fight me for some reason, so I just continued to finish up my farm. When I say farm, I mean I built a gigantic farm full of carrots, potatoes, wheat, but obviously not beetroots, because how many people actually like beetroots in Minecraft? Once I finished, I decided to follow the explosions from the TNT on day 160. The explosions led into a weird mountain with a redstone door. This really seemed like they were luring me into a trap, but I kind of wanted to see where this would lead, so I had to do it. Once I entered the redstone door, I was greeted by a hallway that led to another door. Once I got to the end of the hallway, I opened the door and saw my friend sitting on a TNT throne. Well, it was kind of hard to tell that it actually was a TNT throne, because the entire room was made of TNT. I made sure I had my water bucket and secret totem ready, and went up to where my friend was sitting. I had to be careful, because his friend was right next to him with a flint and steel, ready to light any TNT at any moment. My friend started walking towards me and placed a command block right in front of me. He wanted me to give him the illegal items that I stole from him, or he would kill me right there on the spot. Well, this is a 200 days video, and we were finally getting to day 170, so I had no choice but to give him the items. After that was settled, he destroyed the command block and teleported away, and as he teleported away, his friend immediately lit up some TNT and teleported also. I ran straight for the hallway to try and escape, and barely managed to escape. The TNT literally came into the hallway, but luckily for me, I had a water bucket and totem to protect me. I went back to my farm and thought of an idea. If I could get them to drop their command block, I could set both of their game modes to survival and win this challenge. I told my friend and his partner to meet up at my farm on day 180, and as soon as I said that, they both immediately teleported to me. All I really wanted them for was to ask a question. How do I use a command block? And this was where they both messed up. You see, my friend's partner is his 10-year-old cousin. Ooh, exposition, I like it. And his 10-year-old cousin is kinda a nice guy. So, he gave me his one and only command block to show me how to use it. After that, he spent an entire 9 days showing me the basics of command blocks. Wow, that was the easiest plan ever. But as soon as everything was going to plan, my friend immediately pulled out an illegal knockback sword and launched me across the world. This seemed like the last straw, because my friend was flying directly towards me with end crystals. As I was running, the sun was rising to begin day 190. This was it, the final 10 days. I was trying my best to run as far away as possible. I was running and running until I ran out of hunger. There's no point in trying to run away anymore. My friend had finally got me. He surrounded me with end crystals, and right as he was about to hit one, I got teleported into a secret bunker where my friend's cousin was waiting for me. He gave me an elytra and a ton of totems and golden apples. Before I did anything else, I placed a command block down to give me backup command block, and once my friend's cousin saw this, he immediately turned on me. For a second there, I thought he was actually gonna let me win. I placed another block down and teleported thousands of blocks away. I made a fighting platform for day 195. This was going to be it, the final showdown between two creative mode juggernauts. I made sure I had the command blocks prepared for when I needed to end them once and for all. I told the juggernauts to meet up with me on the giant platform in survival mode. Once they eventually teleported up to me, they did a really cool slow turn to face me. Wow. Now that was insane, but they were going to die, so that feeling wouldn't last long. I immediately went after them, and they really didn't hit me that much. Everything seemed to be going fine until I saw them give themselves end crystals. They immediately started going after me. I ran up to my command bots and turned around to see if they were still chasing me. Once they saw that I had the command bots ready, they just stopped. It seemed as if they knew they were going to lose. I used the first command block and boom! My friend's cousin was gone. As I was about to use the second command block, I noticed my friend wasn't there anymore. I looked behind and he wasn't there either. Once I turned back around, he was standing on top of the command block. He punched me off the edge, but as I was falling, I used the command block at the last second and annihilated him. I can't believe I did it. I actually won. And I did it while the sun was rising for day 200. This was an amazing journey, and I can't believe I actually managed to survive 200 days. I knew I was probably gonna die here, so I looked up and accepted my fate. So on day 1, I did what every normal 100 days YouTuber would do. I went to a desert temple in a village and immediately tried speedrunning Minecraft. Okay, obviously I didn't speedrun this, but I did collect as many materials as I could. So as you know, every 10 days, I am resetting my inventory. But there is one exception. I can put items in a chest and they will be safe. I just need to make sure that I have nothing important in my inventory at all times. For days 2 to 5, I gathered as much wood as I could to make a tiny hut and some chests. I went mining to try to find diamonds on day 9. And once I finally mined a couple of diamonds, it was already day 10. I looked at my inventory and everything I had was gone. This challenge was going to be harder than I thought. I quickly got over my loss of progress and gathered more materials. I eventually got even more diamonds than I had last time, but it was already day 19. This was bad. I had no idea if the sun was rising or not, so I ran back up to my base. Once I got up to the surface, the sun was rising. I hurried over to my chest and barely managed to store my diamonds. This made me realize that I needed to get shulker boxes fast, so I prepared to go to the end for day 20. This would be the most important thing I would ever do in this 100 days challenge. I went to the end, 360 no-scope the Ender Dragon, and went searching for end cities. I was searching for end cities for days and literally couldn't find a single one. Day 30 was quickly approaching, and as soon as I was about to place a chest, I realized that I forgot to bring some with me. Well, this was extremely inconvenient. I needed to find some shulker shells and immediately go back to my chest. After my insanely long journey, I finally found an end city. I killed a couple of shulkers and went to the end ship to get a single chest, but it was too late. Day 30 was already here, and my entire inventory got annihilated. I actually wasn't too upset because I had a backup plan waiting for day 35. Once I had a couple of elytras, I put some in a chest to keep them safe. Then, after I did this, I searched for some villagers. Villagers are the only thing in this challenge that are useful. If I lose some gear that I have, I could just go back to the villagers and trade with them to get more gear. But before I could do any of this, I had to make a melon farm. This would probably be one of the biggest melon farms ever. Once I finished the melon farm, I towered up to get an insane view. You guys see melons, but all I see is emerald. I jumped down, but as soon as I was about to glide on my elytra, it turned to day 40. So yeah, this might have actually been the worst thing to happen, but luckily for me, I landed right in a water stream. I wanted to get rich, and since I had this giant melon farm, I could finally trade with my villagers. Oh, by the way, I did a little bit of off-camera work, and now I have an insane amount of villagers. I think I actually did a little bit too much off-camera work because it was now day 60. I decided to do something very risky and possibly stupid. I started a raid. Hopefully this doesn't backfire at all. I actually started this raid very close to my villagers. This was probably one of the craziest ideas I've ever done. These raids were actually so easy that I ended up doing multiple. But since this was a risky idea, something bad actually happened in the middle of one of these raids. Everything seemed to be going normal for this raid fight until I saw that it was day 70. I literally lost everything right then and there, and a couple of pillagers actually started chasing me. So I ran away to a tiny little hiding hole. So this is where it ends, huh? I can't believe I would actually do something so stupid like that. And now it was backfiring. Wait a second. If I could sneak into my secret base and grab some gear, I could sneak attack the pillagers. I wandered out of my hiding hole and gathered a couple of items as quickly as I could. Finally, I had some gear, but it was far from perfect. My insane gear with every single valuable I had was locked up in a mountain, but the pillagers had already made their way up to it. The only solution to this was to blow up the entire mountain to kill the pillagers. So I prepared for the craziest finale ever. And since preparing for stuff is boring, I'm just gonna skip on to days 90 through 100. I started the ambush with some iron golems. Then, once the golems got the weaklings out of the way, I started some TNT and tried my best blowing up the mountain. The Ravagers were quickly approaching from behind. I had no other choice but to jump off and water bucket clutch. Okay, so this wasn't going the way I wanted it to, but I had the ultimate backup plan. I built a TNT dropper above the mountain and placed several TNT all around the mountain. I knew this would be an insane risk because I would be destroying all of my gear and valuables, but I had no other choice because the pillagers had backup. Once I set everything up, I took one last look at the world because I was going to sacrifice myself after this to end the challenge. That may seem unnecessary, but it's probably one of the most perfect ways to end off a challenge. I started the TNT dropper and watched the destruction unfold. The TNT seemed to be working because it absolutely destroyed everything in its path. After it was done wreaking havoc, I shut the machine off and surveyed the damage. I looked around to see if there was any hope of my items still intact, but after searching, I realized that it didn't even matter because these were going to be my last couple of minutes in this world. This was actually a really cool challenge, and if you like these interesting challenges, then please let me know. So after I set up one final TNT dropper, I put my remaining items in a chest one final time. I went up to the dropper, pulled the trigger, and accepted my fate.